Hello, everyone. Welcome. Happy Veterans Day. Happy Friday. Happy Saturday, wherever you are in the world. We're super excited to have you with us here at USA Global TV and Radio. I'm Dr. Jacalyn KERBECK. I'm the president, founder, and chief listening officer here at our network. Our show today is presenting Pet Psychic AMINAH, and hopefully you have marked your calendars that we are an hour earlier than we were in our original time slot. So we're happy to have you with us. Our topic today is one that we've done before, but we've had requests to do it again. It is somewhat controversial, depending on how you feel about it. It's why spay and neutering is a loving, best parents, also best world practice. Here to tell us about this is the lovely, wonderful Pet Psychic AMINAH. Here she is. Hello.
Hi, everybody.
Pretty
And
in pink today.
that was a great, yeah, got those blouses, got to use them. You just keep, we talked about this earlier, just keep going down the color scheme. Because I'm always afraid, because you have your five, I don't know what I have my favorite five, maybe my adoring three.
Yes.
So and for me, it's like they get washed, they go back on. My daughter's like, you're wearing the same shirt. I said, it got washed.
We do tend to do that. We wear the same things over and over again because they're comfortable. And that's how life is, by the way. We make the same decisions over and over and over again. But this topic is a big one, and it's not something that you can do over and over again. Before we dive into it, let's spotlight you and have you share a little bit about some of the topics that are really vitally important to you. And one I'm just going to tee up because I thought of you again today. At the present moment, I have 11 spiders in my bathroom. That's all I have to say about that.
Bob told everybody.
They're all, I don't know what's going on, but tell us about the topics that are really passion projects for you, AMINAH.
So the first one is easy. If you watch absolutely almost anything that I've done here or anywhere on my website, it's coexisting. I want us humans to coexist. I want the natural world, bugs and animals of any kind, anything else besides humanoids, to coexist. I would like to see whatever our outer space experiences are that we find there, that those planets are part of the coexistence. There is nothing, even a weed, that doesn't have a right to be here, because nature and God don't make mistakes. We don't understand a lot of things that happen. I don't understand why some dogs throw up and then eat it. I'm still lost on many things. So we're here to help flush that out from my education and point of view, and all the things my clients and the world has taught me and told me. Because sometimes we think we know the answer because it's always been that way. Bad word. Always, never again, all of these platforms of finality. Nothing is. And if the animals teach you anything, it's going to be compassion, coexistence, and sharing resources. We are terrible at all three as a human. Look at where we are in pandemic, in the diseases, in the saddest story yesterday for me was I think it was a more than 100-year-old tree, hundreds of year-old tree was starting to die because there's not enough water, soil, weather for it to subsist. And the community of people who care for these things or track these things, we're all just heartbroken, because it's not just about one tree. It's about our whole planet. And what are we doing? And I'm going to talk about that with our animals. What are we doing? How can we do it better? Teaching you techniques, where to go for resources. That's all here.
Yes, it is. And I really think that the loyal following that we have for this program knows how you feel about coexisting, and that I am on board with it 100% as a result of getting to know you and the topics that we discuss here. And we've got other shows that are actually in alignment with this as well. So I also will share that there was a small baby iguana in my bedroom and I did nothing. I said,
You mean only
hello.
3 feet, not 12?
Exactly. It was, and I did nothing. I just spoke to it and I said, please do not come by the bed. And
Right.
it did not. So, so
And,
it's amazing.
and what's
what you
nice with
can do.
iguanas, when they don't have teeth per se, you know, think a tiger. I love to curl up with one any day, but their teeth kind of, you know, really, and those
Right.
paws, whoosh. But the iguana has got a very flat set of what we would call teeth. But their grip, yeah, that's a Herculean grip. So you get them clamped on you're going to
Oh,
need help.
that's good to know, by the way.
Yeah, and their tail is their weapon. They run so fast,
So
and you've
fast.
probably seen this over
I
the
just saw it
golf course.
today. I was like, what?
Yeah, and there he goes. Every athlete trying to get in the Olympics, these are places to study. Yeah, you can do the typical things. What is it? What's that bird with that doesn't fly? That with black wings. Okay, ostrich. I'll think of it. So an ostrich, people look at it and they're kind of clumsy and they're flopping all over the place. Man, you get those things running. That's why, sadly, there used to be ostrich races and people were on the back. I was thinking, let the ostrich run. It's like, I can't get this person off me. But animals are built for the topography and the location and the weather of where they are naturally supposed to be. What we as humans have done, we love animals or we want to eat them or we want to use them for carts or whatever. There's no judgment there. It's the fact that we've brought animals into parts of nature and the world that shouldn't be there. So I don't know you. I don't think a whale might like it like on an island in a little place where you can't get out. They need a totally different diet. Look how huge they are. Horses have been used as transportation and work animals for decades because they can, as a herbivore, they don't need meat. So there's lots of grass and grasses everywhere. This is how these animals have moved from place to place. Now, a cockroach is a whole different thing. It'll adapt. Many animals will adapt. But what are we doing? How are we understanding how to do that? I know, Dr. Jacalyn, you and I are still trying to figure out that mosquito. Anybody got any
Yes,
tips? I'm still
we
trying to understand.
we
I got the
definitely are.
spiders down. They manage all the insects by eating and webs, and they create a great deal of benefit for nature. Not really sure of mosquitoes. Don't really get.
You know what's interesting about spiders, and then we're going to get into our topics. I'm sure people are like, what about spay and neutering? Okay, it's coming up.
Yeah.
My one thing I noticed with spiders, because I told you now there's a whole group of them, is I don't see them eating anything. I see them in the same position. They're lodged themselves like up in the corners of the room, but there's no food. They're there for weeks. I don't know how you can exist like that. I'm not
Well,
sure
yeah,
what they're
and
doing.
typical for a spider, they're catching, trapping them in their web, and digesting the enzymes in the body of the animal they've trapped. So if you don't see them eating, man, wouldn't that be neat to have a camera on them 24/7?
Well, I don't even see any webs, by the way. I just see
Wow.
that they each have their location in the
Hmm.
ceiling, and then I've seen them jockey back and forth for position.
Okay.
Excuse me, but I don't see any webs or any food. So I don't know what they're doing. Maybe
Well,
it's
and
like
you know what
summer.
it sounds like? All the description you've given is you are the safe resting zone. They're
Yeah.
going hunting elsewhere. They're making the webs elsewhere to catch prey because you have proven you have none. So they're saving that energy in the work and coexisting, which is a magnificent thing for an insect that lives alone. So they're coexisting in a space going, hey, Bob, did you tell Sarah? This is a great place to camp for the night. And then they go back out, weather and all that. They know where the bugs are going to be. So can you imagine going 1,000 miles on their little legs? It would be like us walking 1,000 miles to go out of your house, get dinner, come back and sleep. It's a long
I
walk.
think I'm going to do a documentary on it. Jacqueline
There you
Spiders.
should.
No, I don't
You
know.
should.
I'm not doing a documentary. Let's move into spay and neutering. And why
Please.
is this a controversial topic, by the way?
We're getting into now. Remember, my belief, my education my direction. Do I know everything? No, I'd like to. So please share with us. Please share with us your experience. But having had animals my whole life and then worked in a wildlife sanctuary where people were actually breeding wildlife or tigers, bears, things for Hollywood. We were very close to Los Angeles. So I'm coming from abroad and working in a vet clinic, knowledge of what this looks like. Think about, if you're a woman specifically, it might be a little more personal. Think about if you had a baby every 10 months, you got 1 month off, have the baby and get pregnant again. How, if you've ever thought about it or seen a pregnant woman, man, woman, or child, you can imagine carrying that load, because it's not just the 8 or 6 pound baby, but you've got all the umbilical cord. They're always hungry, or you're always hungry. There's a lot of work on your back and your body. Now, not even talking about getting the baby out. So animals have that same type of trajectory in making little ones. So they've got to have that diet. Think about all the work that goes into that. So why does this happen? That's what we want to talk about.
Yeah, that is what we're talking about. And I think the fact that I titled this in such a way, because you gave me the title, Loving Best Pet Parent, Best World Practice. Talk to us about why this is a best practice.
And the loving part. I really want to explain to people that to spay and neuter is not cosmetic surgery. This is not having your dog's ears clipped because you want them to stand up. That's a whole different conversation. Spay and neutering is saving lives. I want you to hear it really loud and clear. Spay and neutering. And all the difference is one is for a dog, one is for a female, one is for a male. So when you spay or neuter your animals, you save their life. You save the lives of the puppies, the kitties, the hamsters, the snakes, whatever you're breeding, from being homeless because the person who bought it from you or adopted it from you lost their job, lost their housing, God forbid, died, and there was no one to take care of that. When we make more than we need, okay, anybody can go through a jumbo supermarket and say, oh my gosh, I want it all. I've never had it. I'm going to buy this, this, and this. But if you buy more than one thing of ice cream and one thing of donuts and one thing of this, in a couple of days, you can't eat it all. So what happens with overbreeding is those animals go to a shelter, mostly a kill shelter, and it's a 50-50 job up to that if they don't get adopted. Because if somebody's breeding their animal for money, this is really hard for me, they actually will put down the ones that don't get adopted. Just kill them. And the grief that I see, experience, hear from the mother, because a lot of dogs, let's talk dogs right now, and cats, the male animal doesn't necessarily stay in the picture. Now, in dogs, of course, you think wolf pack, that's their job is to go get food. Well, if you're domesticated, food should be provided. And a lot of times people breed their dogs, females, and have the puppies, but don't have the male dog in their life, not caring for them. Can you imagine watching these wonderful lives be born, and you get to know them from as they age, and here you get to 8 weeks and you can't find a home for the last 3 or all 10 or the last one. It doesn't matter the number. And your only choice, I put in air quotes in there, your only choice you feel you have is to kill it because you don't have the resources. So let me back up. Why breed? We have purebreds. I know this for a fact because I had a German Shepherd that was purebred, tattooed in the ear, dumped in a backyard. And we rescued him and had him in our life until he died. So there's plenty of animals out there. There are plenty of resources out there. There's plenty of purebreds. If that's what your need is, that's okay. Some people need the specific type of personality or size or lack of fur that comes with that breed. But let me also encourage you to look into other breeds. It's I don't know about you, but I didn't marry the first guy I dated. I didn't go, oh, yep, that's the one. That would have been nice, especially if it had worked out. But I dated a few people throughout my teenage 20s until I married the man that I was married to for 30 years. Pets are that kind of commitment. If you're going to breed, you're going to allow, and let me define allow. Allowing something means you didn't take the responsibility as a pet owner and get them spayed or neutered. You didn't separate your females while they were in heat, if that's something that you want, or like a breeding every 2 years or 5 years or whatever, but she's still going to go into heat. So you have to protect her. They actually make diapers, pants to protect females because they'll get harassed by every stray dog planet that she goes by while she's in heat. It's a natural response. So there are ways to mitigate those issues. But if you accidentally or purposefully have a litter, talk to the professionals, talk to the shelters, talk about what do you do to get good homes. We can do as much as we can. I know a lot of private breeders who do really, really specific dogs for specific people, specific needs or handicap, all of that. They want a very specific dog for their family dynamics. Let's say they have an autistic child or they have somebody who is deaf. They got to have a type of animal that will learn with them and grow with them. So let's say that doesn't work out. Where does that trained dog go? I cannot tell you how many horrible stories I hear, even from, and this is a while back, so don't know what the police department is doing now, but search and rescue, police department, and the military all use animals in their work. Rats, they're amazing, absolutely so intelligent, so intelligent. They use them as bomb experts. So when there's, what's the bomb in the ground that I'm not thinking of that you step on? It blows you up.
Oh,
Mine
mine.
something. Yes, mine. You go through a minefield. So this has happened all over the third world countries, and they'll have wars that are 10 years gone, but the mines are still in the ground. And guess what? Nobody knows where they are at all because there's not a little flag going, "Hey, don't step on me." And so many people in the third world countries who are farmers are redoing the soils, getting that land back, putting it, or they're selling it, not knowing they're there. I can't tell you how many horrible stories you see people without an arm, without legs. They died altogether. The worst part is the maiming. Bombs in the ground are meant to not necessarily kill you, but really want you to be dead because your body parts are missing. So if you ever get a chance, and I'll have to repost this, they get rats. These are designer big guys, absolutely loving as all get up, trained on a leash. So the handlers you'll see during the interviews, they'll have them on them or holding them, and they're lovely. And rats are highly intelligent and can be taught all the same things your dog can, just wags their tail differently. They put lines, thin, skinny, like cables, a really small cable. And they put a harness on the rat and they have him walk where they think this field is full of mines, landmines. And there's videos out, so you can go see them. And they have the rat walk, and the rat has been trained, and they have trained it what a bomb's going to smell like and what doesn't. Everybody gets that training. So the rat is very aware that I get a treat when I find this smell. So then the human knows where to step and walk because the rat will stop and target that area. And what they do is they flag it. Like when people build golf places with lots of grass and they do new landscaping, they have a tiny little flag on it. And it goes up like 6 to 12 inches, depends on how long you want. They're doing the same thing. They're tying, and the rat is on a lead line. So it can walk around with a lot of freedom because they are light enough to not set off the bomb. Dogs are too heavy. Cats are a little bit more unpredictable and a little harder to train. Rats are highly, highly intelligent, sentient beings. They know good, bad. They know the smell. And the dogs too. That's why the dogs are so great at bomb finding. But the dogs are too heavy for landmines. There's too many legs, toes. And the documentary that I watched, gosh, 5 years ago, showing villagers, kids, moms, dads, elderly, with limbs missing. It was a common thing. And they don't have that kind of medical care. So they wrap it up, it heals, and these people are one-handed. So rats are amazing. Animals are amazing when you understand what they can do and what they can't do. Animals love to run by their nose. They're very intuitive about their nose and their paws. That's why there's a little bit of fur sometimes on them, keeps them safe from cold, heat. And if you're walking on a hot day, if you cannot help it because your dog is running you crazy and you don't own a treadmill, those are great for indoors for people who have a lot of snow. So spay and neutering prevents overbreeding. Prevents overpopulating is a better word. All animals have a right to a good life. We have a right to expect a good life, especially when we participate with jobs, giving back, all of those things. An animal that you breed, that you allow to breed in this day and age, is your responsibility. If it's the stray cat down the road, you do what's called catch and release. There are tons of programs all over the United States, all over Europe. I love to hear about your country and your place where you're doing it. I'd love to see the pictures. Please send them on, because I want to celebrate your programs and your vets and your catch and release. That is the way we get the world to have resources left for everybody to thrive. Not just the rich one who can afford to ship water to themselves. And that's what's happening in a lot of third world countries. People without the resources are literally eating the scraps after they've harvested something in a field. I've seen it. I've seen it. You see the dogs do it. I've seen, it was very heartbreaking documentary. These young family going after the animals would go into boxes where the vegetables weren't perfect anymore, like fruit or tomatoes or zucchini or whatever it was. And that's what they were stealing to survive. But they had to get there before the nature, any of the animals got there first. Because if you're in the part of the world with parrots, they're pretty aggressive. They've got a beak and talons to say, yeah, no, I'm going to take it first. The one that survives is the one that can be the biggest bully, I guess. And we shouldn't have any of that at all. It all comes back to spay and neutering. This is a simple process, and we can love our pets and say, oh my gosh, I love Sally. I love Sally. I love Sally so much. I just want one of her babies so that I'll always have Sally. That is great and loving and wonderful, but take a moment and think about what Sally wants. What does your dog want? Well, they get to do whatever I want. Well, that's kind of the way the hierarchy has been set up by us. But if you're going to coexist, how about think about one litter if you have to, but better yet, no babies at all coming from your side of the world, your planet, your front door. And you're going just to adopt the ones that already are looking for homes. Every shelter talks constantly about please spay and neuter. There are so many places now doing it for free. And they have clinics all the time. I actually had a friend come down from Northern California to Southern when I was working down there in a wildlife sanctuary. because we were having a huge fair in the county, all the vets were volunteering their time to spay and neuter that day, one day. The females, of course, were scheduled because you don't do surgery out in a driveway, but they had a clinic set up with a tent. And if you've never seen a male get neutered, it's super easy. I was out in the middle of nowhere and watched the ranchers, bunnies, cats, dogs, they pop that sack open, cut it off, do maybe a stitch, animal walked away.
That was my question. I was going to ask you, is the process painful and how long does it take? But it sounds like it's quick.
It takes 4 males, because it's exterior, it's minutes. I have seen vets do mass clinics, and it is the only reason they're there is because they feel so strongly about that. They're usually volunteering their time. You have, like, I don't know, the pandemic, we lined up to get our shots or testing or something. I always remember the tents, lots and lots of tents. So think about those lines, and you're holding your cat or your dog is there with you. And if it's a male, they take you this way. If it's a female, they book you an appointment, because that has to be under anesthesia. They have to open her gut. That's just the way the body's put together. But for the males, they have a table. It's clean. It's sanitary. They change it every one. They cut it down, pop, clip it off, maybe put a stitch in and close it up so it seals, give you some antibiotics maybe, and off you go. And you put a cone on so they don't lick it. And I watched both my male cats go through this. And because I went to a clinic, I was a young college student, of course, adopted some cats, and at different times. And I was amazed. Quick, fast, easy, 5-6 minutes. And the vets want to do volume at these clinics to really, really save as many lives as they can. And guess what? There's no testicular cancer in most of these. There's no other diseases that they're carrying or they have to have done later. It does help. And guess what? These animals turn into little pussycats. There's not all that adrenaline. There's not all those hormones saying, oh, I got to find a mate. I got to find a mate. I have seen so many animals get hit by cars because they jumped over a fence while a female went by in heat. Well, if they didn't have any testicles and have those hormones going through their body, that jump over the fence would have been a vacation to run around the block maybe, but not run down the street and get killed by I've actually seen owners shoot at dogs, especially in the rural areas. They're like, no, but they don't do anything to prevent it because they want puppies. So when they're females in heat, they bring her in part of the time, but it could be messy depending on the dog and if they're secreting any kind of mucus or any of that. So they don't you could try diapers they make from pets when they're in heat. But if you've got a dog who can smell it, they can smell it for a mile. They can smell it for 2 blocks. They can definitely smell it through a diaper. So you risk your females being attacked literally in order to mate because the drive is so strong. So yes, I encourage you. You've got all these resources to keep your dog inside, keep a diaper on and all that. How about if you have 3 dogs, 2 of them are spayed, neutered? If you have to be breeding, special dogs do exist for the handicap. Designer dogs for the blind, if you want to call it that. But I don't see that as a good title because all dogs and cats have the ability to be trained. With cats, it's free will. They're going to tell you loud and clear, no, I'm not doing that. So you don't really want to train or attempt to train because it will be a act in futility, if I can use it that way, kind of a joke. You're going to be hitting your head on the wall over and over and over and over and over. So let me give you a really pedestrian example. We have 3 cats and they're all rescues, all came to us in different circumstances. The last one we rescued, and if you've watched our channel, that you've heard this, I rescued it from a family that didn't realize they were completely not cat people. They're not pet people. Let me put it this way. They're loving people, but they had never had a pet. So they got this little stray kitty and, oh, it's a kitty. No. So Emma is super, super smart and very, very motivated by, I need more entertainment. If she could watch TV, which she's tried, I don't know what she sees, but once in a while we'll get something like a bird. Oh my gosh, I forgot about the bird flying by on a movie. Oh my gosh, I thought she was going to take the TV down. It's mounted up, but not that well. I got a stroller for her. I have never, ever, ever gotten a stroller for a cat. That just seemed like something I wasn't interested in. But I also have a harness vest that keeps her more secure, and I can put a leash on her, but the cat stroller has a full covered dome where she looks out. And the other day, about 2 weeks ago, I took her out because she was literally running up the walls. And we have lots of stairs, but it wasn't enough. She was getting all kinds of trouble, getting on counters, all that. So if somebody's spayed or neuter, we might have to have 3 cats, and I love them. But are you going to do the work I'm explaining? This is not just a story about what I'm doing. I'm telling you about, I have a high needs cat. I'm tired. I'm exhausted, had a long day, blah, blah, blah. I want to sit down and watch soap operas. Whatever, we are real people. But I recognized in her that that wasn't going to be enough. Beating up the 2 older cats was never going to work, because especially Jackson, he's very big, and he'll just swipe her and go, yeah, don't do that again. Where Rin will hide and cower, and I don't want her to have that life either. So it's get something. So we have the laser lights for the kitties. If you don't know those, it's little laser lights that you run around and they chase. Make sure you just land it on a wall or a couch you actually want them to be on. So those are getting energy out. And for this little kitty, I take her for walks. It's only about 2 or 3 blocks. We kind of go the same blocks because we don't do it often. I don't want it to be, oh, every 5 o'clock she's going to hate me. But guess what? All her energy was like, oh. And this last time I took her, about 4 days ago, she went, oh. And she didn't sit back as far. She just sat and looked, and we stopped, and I let her see things. Windy days are hard. Trafficy days are hard. But this day was nice and quiet, and she got to look around. I sat with her in the park for like 5 minutes because I wanted her to get used to maybe somebody would walk by. They didn't. But we strolled around, and guess what? She went home, and for the next 3 days, she played, and she was calm, and she took a nap, and she was calm. I'm still working off of it. Technically, it's like 7 days ago, and I hadn't thought about it, but yeah, she's so calm. But not everybody can have 3 cats. Not everybody has the patience, time, or energy to look at what they really need instead of what we need. If you need an animal in your life, I adore that idea. But know what they need. Know how many's too many and what your finances can do, because spay and neutering is super important. We have 1 billion, literally, homeless, life-threatening animals out there. And yes, they're great at taking care of rats, but we don't want to remove an entire species because we created so many rat killers. Rats have purpose. They have jobs, not just bomb things, but it's about managing resources. What are we talking about right now? There's not enough water. There's not enough water for the trees. We have ancient old trees and things falling down. We have pests going crazy because there's no resources except for eating the last of the green, whatever's out there, bush or tree. This is another resource spay and neutering will fix. And that is overpopulation of the pet industry or animals in general. No farmer is going to let his sheep outstrip his ability to feed them. No cattle rancher is going to allow more cattle to be born with his herd if he doesn't have the resources to feed it, vaccinate it, take it to slaughter. I have seen this happen where people will breed a whole bunch of animals, especially marketable animals. Like let's just use cattle as an example. And they've gone through a horrible drought. And the feed industry is decimated, and he has tapped out all his funds on grains. because that's something a lot of times we have left over, our packaged grain, which is not totally healthy for them either, and or they can't get water. I have seen, and you can read it everywhere, cattlemen and ranchers and other businesses that exist, chicken farms, rabbit, everything, all these things that we eat. And they actually go around killing them all because they can't feed them anymore. And they can't sell that many animals at one time. The meat rots. When you butcher, it has to be an immediate process of it getting to a packaging situation. It means freezers, air conditionings, whatever. So think about your pets in these grand schemes of things. I don't want to see our pets put down because there wasn't anybody available to give it a home that had food, water, balance. That's why we're doing this.
Wow, you came full circle. I love the way that you did. You brought it all back home. I think that's
I hope so.
That's great. I think some key takeaways are that when you take responsibility for getting a pet, whether it's a rescue or through a breeder, or however it is you acquire this, it's a long relationship. It's not just, hi, I think you're so cute right now as a puppy or a kitty. I love you. Now you're older and I don't love you as much. No, you're making a commitment to stay with that family member for the life of that family member, giving good quality care and love. And to your point, Amina, there are so many pets that have just been left by the wayside with all the climate change and the natural disasters, and people are in a rush to leave, evacuate, they're forced out and they leave their pets. That spay and neutering makes a lot of sense.
Right. Well, and it'll save their lives. Think about that. If you're not there to protect them, which you and I as pet parents are like, oh yeah, you come near my animal, you might be dead. Even the neighbor, because we love and have that compassion for them. It's like protecting any one of our children, fuzzy or otherwise. It doesn't matter. They are our children. They are our companions. They give so much unconditional love, even when we step on them. And we go, oh, if you're like me, you go, oh, I'm so sorry, I didn't see your tail. And, we all fall apart. But we have that love. But what are you doing in the long term? This pandemic and any other, the first thing that went were people's pets, because they thought it would be great. And here's what the pandemic did: a lot of things. First, you're getting a lot of people unemployed or whatever happened for one reason or another. And then all the pets are out of the shelter. Shelters were literally empty in the beginning of the pandemic. I would love to hear from anybody who has a shelter or working in near or by one. I haven't checked in on lately. Is then everybody goes back to work like they have. We've got at least, let me be conservative, 50% of people are back in their offices. And I know a lot of CEOs and businesses are saying, whoa, 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 I got a building that's not being used and I'm paying rent, or I own it and I'm paying taxes. So for them, it's like life and death. And all the people working at home are going, yeah, but I'm getting quality work done and I don't have to wear any pants per se from the waist down.
Right.
And I got my slippers on. Who doesn't want to work like that? But it's about finances. It is about productivity. We're rewriting all that. Every World War I did it. World War II did it. Vietnam did it. Whatever big world events that happen, it changes the way we do things. So here we are. So just think about it. If you are not there to make sure your cat or dog doesn't get pregnant, which means you lock them in the house and they never are around another male or female, then that's a hope. That's a dream. That's wonderful, because you don't want to, if you're one of the people that believes, and this is not a judgment, that they want to keep the animal natural. Well, we don't neuter every woman and man. Well, maybe we should. That's another conversation, a whole other show.
That's another conversation. That's all other show. We're at the end of this show. Yeah, we're at the end of this show, so we need to just wrap it up.
But please get them spayed and neutered. It'll save lives. That's the bottom line. You'll save lives.
Okay. There it is. Thank you so much. And how do people get in touch with you if they want to have a chat or they want to explore this a little bit further?
Absolutely. bridgingworlds.us. It is on the screen. Let me spell it out for those who are on audio. bridgingworlds.us. Everything, my Facebook, social media, these shows, all of those links are on the website.
All right. Thank you, my dear friend. I appreciate it.
Thank
We are
you.
signing off for this week. Please do come back and visit us next week. Go over to our YouTube channel, USA Global TV and Radio, and click subscribe so that you can be aware of all the shows that we offer. We've got something for everyone. We've got some new shows coming for next year as well. And by the way, I'll leave you with this. For anyone who is a good speller, and you want to be part of the spelling bee competition, we're rolling that out next month. So we have our first show set up, but we are looking for other people who are good spellers. So Amina, is that you? Are you a good speller?
Nope. Right. Kat has to tell me how to say it, spell cat every day. How do you spell?
You will not be on the show then.
Still there. I love autocorrect. That is my best friend.
That's a go. That will not be on this show though. Will
not be I know. No, that would be cheating. They already know that.
They would be cheating. All right. Thank you, everyone. Thank you, Amina.
And a great way to start my weekend.
Happy Veterans Day, and thank you for your service, everyone. Bye-bye.